On August 1st, 2012, the Apache Junction Fire District responded to a reported cardiac arrest call. The crew of Engine 262 answered that call.
Reading the CAD comments, from what I can remember, is it did say it was possible full code. We got an update soon after from dispatch saying that PD was on scene doing chest compressions. So that kind of put us in the mind frame that this probably is a real full code non-breather, and to get ready for it. On the way to the call, I had a lot of things on my mind. I was acting captain. I have a new paramedic, firefighter Hanson, who I was precepting at the time. I also had a brand new firefighter who was only on the truck for about 2 weeks. He had never done chest compressions. He'd never been on non-breather before. So I felt like I had a lot on my mind as far as keeping an eye on my crew, getting to the call safely. We got there fairly quick. I believe it was within about 4 minutes.
Firefighter Dold started compressions. We put an OPA in his mouth and put a non-rebreather on him. We started our CCR protocol.
One of the things I was trying to concentrate on was about 150 compressions, calling that out so that way we can start pre-charging the monitor and getting that shock on board right after the 200 compressions. So about 180, 190, the monitor had charged. 200 compressions were complete. They checked the rhythm, noticed it was a shockable rhythm, and then they delivered the shock. Then we jumped right back onto compressions, and as I mentioned, they had continued their algorithm. So
we've been through the CCR. We've accomplished our goals. We stopped compressions, and the patient had converted to a normal sinus rhythm. He was pushing pulses with the rhythm, but he wasn't breathing on his own. So at that point, we just followed normal ACLS protocols. We intubated the patient. Since we did get spontaneous return of pulses, we started hanging cold IV fluids. We also packed his groin and his armpits and so forth in ice packs. And we alerted AJ Regional that
from the get-go, once we found out that he returned pulses and got him to the ER in a timely manner, that doesn't happen very often. And it doesn't take somebody who's been on a month or 18 years to understand that something like that isn't an everyday occurrence. So knowing that was a victory in my book, but we kind of all held our breath, and we were all kind of giving each other a pat on the back, but really waiting until that patient was able to really recover and see what his quality of life was going to be post-code and post-recovery. So we all know that a person can go in and come out not necessarily 100%. So after about a week, we were able to follow up with that patient at the hospital, and I know every person in their interview has always talked about being able to help people and make a difference. And for myself, walking into that room and seeing that gentleman who a week earlier was lights out, and there he is sitting in the hospital chair and talking and enjoying his breakfast, and he's there with his family. That was incredible. I really don't know any way to explain it, but that for me was an amazing experience in my life, and that's something I'll always remember for the rest of my career and the rest of my life. So it was awesome to be able to follow up with the patient and witness that.
He was so happy to see us and seemed like he was just glowing, and we asked him some questions, and maybe did he see a white light at the end of the tunnel, and he said no. So, but he said, well, we weren't the first ones to ask that question, but he was really happy to be there. His wife was ecstatic, and she was teary-eyed and really happy that we were there to help him out. And so it wasn't his day. It wasn't his day. And
when we sign up for this occupation, this career, we're here to save lives. And there's a true call where we can really make a difference. We can bring somebody back that their hearts stop beating, they're not breathing on their own, they truly need our help. And we train very hard to be able to accomplish those goals, to bring somebody back who has no heartbeat, who's not breathing on their own. So we were able to meet the gentleman, shake his hand. For me, I've only been able to shake patients' hands. That was the third time in my 18 years in the fire service. And probably that's the most rewarding part about being a firefighter paramedic, is being able to shake the hand and speak to somebody that you actually did CPR on, who had no pulse and wasn't breathing, and you actually helped their outcome in their life.
I don't think people still really believe when we tell our story that that he's here and he's him.
Again, I'd like to say another thing, because I don't know of any other agency. You know, I've been around the block a couple of times, and I don't know any other agency that would have, the guys that were taking care of me, the Apache Junction paramedics and fire people, they actually came and visited me in my room and asked me how I was, and I got a chance to physically stand up and shake their hands. They didn't have to come down and visit me. They did. They hung around for maybe 10 minutes and BS'd with me. And we shot some, you know, BS stories, and it was just like a bunch of guys getting together. So it was a good time. And I thanked them again before they left. And I'd like to thank them in this video again for what they've done for me.
And when they came to visit, I asked them, I go, may I please give you all a hug? And they said, absolutely. And I gave them all the hug. And he says, this is what we live for, is to see a happy ending, because we don't get to see that very often. And they also had told us that they had checked in every day to see with their chief to see how he was doing, which I thought was very, very nice. Very nice.
They went above and beyond.
Yep.